Yeah,
Oh,
like
I'm getting like 16 miles per gallon.
did you go with the re-gear yet?
No, no
No,
rear
no
gear.
re-gear, 60 mile per hour. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Stock rims and hubcaps.
Yeah. It's kind of like stealth, but it's like it looks cool at the same time. It's like a cool looking stealth. Like it looks like a CIA van. Are you planning on lifting your 40 Econoline van 5 inches with an Action Van suspension or Weldtech lift kit? And you're planning on getting 285 tires, 33s with no re-gear? Don't do it. You're gonna make your van worse, a lot worse. There's my van, and there's Anyaz's van. You know what the kids at home like? The lift kit talk. So let's check out your lift kit. What do you got here?
That's the 5-inch Baja grocery getter kit from Weldtech.
And then
2012 Ford Econoline, 5.4 liter.
I had stock 245 75/16s on this van with the lift kit and ran like that for a year because it was a while before I got a re-gear. I currently have 285 75/16s right there, and I ran these for about 6-7 months with no re-gear, and it made the van worse, a lot worse. Even with the V10, I felt like I was 30 or 40 horsepower down with 285s and no re-gear. Why do your tires look so tiny? Because they're stock 245s. I know it's tempting to go straight to 285 tires when you get a 5-inch lift kit on these vans. It's tempting because it fits, but this is what's happening. You're going from a 30.5-inch tire to a 32.8-inch tire. So nearly a 33-inch tire, but this is also what's happening. When you don't re-gear, you're messing up your gearing. So going from 245 to 285, stock gearing on most of these vans are 373s. And it's a good gear ratio for fuel economy and power. But when you go at 285, your gearing is going to be at 346. And like I said, I feel like I lost 30 or 40 horsepower, even with the V10 engine, when I put the 285s on with no re-gear. Here's another thing that's happening. Look at 245 75/16s. Look at that weight, 44.5 pounds. Now look what happens when you go to 285s. When you put 285 75/16s on your van, you're adding 5 pounds of weight, 5-pound heavier tire. So that's just not 20 pounds you're adding to your van. Each pound of weight you add to the tire or rim is actually 8 pounds instead of 1. So 5 times 8 times 4, because you're doing it to all 4 corners. It's like adding 160 pounds to your van. And anyone who's ever put bigger rims and bigger tires, heavier rims, heavier tires to their vehicle, you know how much slower it feels. I ran 285 75/16s on my van for about 7 months before I got a re-gear. So 373 stock with the bigger tires, I was at a 346. To get your gearing back to a 373, you need a 402 gear. No such thing as a 402 gear, so I got 410 gears. My van has 410 gears now, and an aux locker might as well get some sort of locker or limited slip if you're getting re-geared. So now my van is running as strong as it did when it was stock. So what does a re-gear cost? Well, if you're gonna get re-geared, you might as well go with some sort of locker. So an automatic locker and a re-gear will run you about $2,500. A selectable locker and a re-gear is gonna run you about $4 grand. $2,500 to $4 grand, that's a lot of money. I know. That's why this van, I try to do things the right way. I ran little tiny 245 tires for about a year because the tires were still good, and I knew I was going to lose a lot of fuel economy once I put bigger tires and no re-gear. So here's some advice if you don't intend on re-gearing. I get it, it's a really expensive job. This is my second van build. My first van build never got a re-gear or a rear locker. In fact, I put 285s on that and it was so horrible. That van only had the 5.0 carryover 5.0 from the 80s. So that was so horrible. With 285 tires, I just went back down to 245s. That's how bad it was. The V10 overcame it okay. So most of you guys are going to have the 5.4 or the 4.6. So here's my recommendation if you want to get a 5-inch lift kit and no re-gear. If you want to lift your van 5 inches and you have no intentions on re-gearing it, consider Pizza Cutter tires, 235 85 16. So you go from a 30.5 inch to a 31.7. You're a little narrower too. And here's the thing, this is what your gearing is going to look like. So from 245 75 16 to 235 85 16, you're going from a 373 to a 358, and that's still a decent gear. A lot of new trucks come with 355 gears. Here's another thing to consider. So here's the 245s again, 44.5 pounds each. That's stock. If you go with Pizza Cutters, you're actually 0.1 pounds less than stock. So you're not messing up the rotational mass in your tires. Let's go ahead and take a look at 265s. A lot of people actually go with 265s on their stock van or 265s with a 2-inch lift. So here's what's happening with the 265s. It's going to be very similar to the Pizza Cutters. The Pizza Cutters are actually slightly taller by like a millimeter, but when you look at the width, 10.4. So these are 265s are wider than stock. 9.6 for stock. The Pizza Cutters are actually 9.3 inches wide. So the 265s are a lot wider. Your gearing for 265s, let's find the 265 gearing. It's about the same as the Pizza Cutters. 359 gear. Pizza Cutters are 358. So here's the difference right off the bat. This has smaller tires, 265 75 16, 285 75 16, both on stock rims. Here's the weight of the 265s, a pound shy of the 285s. So that's why I recommend the 235 85 16s. If you never intend on re-gearing, you're not going to go off-road much. If you're going to spend a lot more time, and I spend a lot more time on normal roads, maybe 95% of my time is spent on normal roads. So that's what most of us do. Most of us road trip these vans. So if you're trying to retain the best fuel economy possible and keep your power, especially the 5.4 and the 4.6s, consider the Pizza Cutters. Let's go ahead and look at tire prices. So 235s, we'll go for this right here. So 235s, let's just go with the first tire they're recommending, the Trail Blades. That's what I use as a reference for weight with the different sizes. So when you go look at the Pizza Cutters, they're 129 each, load range ease. Let's go ahead and look at the 265. The 265s are actually going to be a little cheaper, 104 each. Oh, there's a Trail Blade actually. Actually, no, it's more expensive for the 265 for the Trail Blades, 138. Let's go ahead and go back. So Trail Blade, 129 for the 235s, 138 for the 265s, and then let's look for the 285s. 285 Trail Blades, 150. So there you go. That's another thing to consider with the 235s. It's going to be cheaper than the 265s or the 285s. So that's just a little advice for you guys. If you guys rack up the miles on your van and power, especially going up mountain grades, power is important, your fuel economy is important. Consider the 235s. They're still taller than the 245s, You're going to keep, you know, a decent amount of power. You're going to lose a little bit of power, of course, because you're messing with your gearing. But I think they're going to be a good compromise of looking good and, you know, retaining your fuel economy just a little better and your power. You know, it's up to you if you want to listen to me. I know the 285s look good, but I held off on getting 285s right away. I knew I wasn't going to get a re-gear right away, so I ran my 245s for like a year with the lift, and then I got 285s to replace my 245s and ran this for like around 7 months, and then finally got a re-gear to get everything proper. So like I said, I get it. My first van build never got to a re-gear, and I went back down to 245s. That's how horrible it was. And like I said, even with the V10 engine, I could still feel my van like lacking a little power. So I was happy to get this re-geared and get my stock power back. These Econolines look really good, lifted with 285 tires. I get it, man. You want 285s. If you're skeptical about pizza cutters, here's something to think about. A lot of the Tacoma crowd with lift kits, they had 285s, and they're going with pizza cutters because they noticed the huge power loss and miles per gallon loss on their Tacomas. The Tacoma has 240 horsepower and about 270 foot-pounds of torque. These Ford vans from 97 to 2014, they have the modular motors. It's a product from the 90s. And these Ford vans never got modern powertrains. My V10 has 305 horsepower, 420 foot-pounds of torque. The 5.4, 255 horsepower and 360 foot-pounds of torque. The 4.6, 225 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque. So when you're putting bigger tires on this, bigger, heavier tires, you're gonna feel it, especially going up a grade. So yeah, pizza cutters are not gonna look as good as the wide 285s. But here's another thing to think about. The Aussies, they like pizza cutters. When you look at old FJs, they're on pizza cutters. Even military trucks are on pizza cutters. So I hope you guys found this video educational, informative, entertaining. Let me know by leaving me a comment and thumbing this video up. Have a good one, guys.